Hi there, how are you? I hope that you've been sharing my videos with more people. And I really appreciate that each day, even if it's one person subscribes to the channel. I really appreciate that genuine subscription without really being forced or maybe, uh, you know, getting into it just because of it. And I hope that my subscribers love what I'm doing and they really wish to critique as well what I'm doing. It's through critique that you grow. Now, today I'm going to talk about The Neighborhood Watch by Remmy a story that is originally set in Rwanda and Namibia, because that is where actually the author comes from. Now, as I've told you, I'll never go through these stories the way I went through those stories that can be set in paper 2. This one I know it's only in paper 3 and you need the episodes. Now when I look at the Neighborhood Watch, what vices or virtues or episodes happen that can be the source of exams? Now when you look at this story, we have the challenges that street families face, and we have so many challenges. The very first challenge that we see is lack of basic needs. And maybe I'll divide this into food. Now look at all the street, the entire street family. Talk about Omagano, even when Amos was alive. Talk about the rest of the group and whatever they miss. They do not have food, and most times they have to go from street to street looking for it. So they have to look for survival tactics, and we are told that sometimes they have to target which days they have to go to the municipal, that is the city itself, and the days when they have just to wake up very early, go to some places, and then on Sundays where they have to go. So we are clearly told that most times they had to eat food that had been dumped in the litter bins. And this food, sometimes it is after the workers decided they couldn't eat such food, so they throw it away. And part of it was rotten. Now we are told that the potatoes were, most of them were rotten. And the garbage that they have to pick, sometimes they find even babies in them. Now, sometimes when they go to these places looking for food, they cannot be allowed to do so. So there is the clear aspect of lacking food, and food is a basic need. The other basic need they miss is proper shelter. Now, we are told at the beginning of the story that the characters in this story had, just to make sure that the clothes they had, they cleaned them, because nobody wanted people who were dirty. So they had to sleep under the bridge. And remember, again, this bridge was being fought for by other groups. So what do they have to do? They fence it. Just like the animals do, they had to urinate around it so that it is particularly NW for Neighborhood Watch. Now, when we look even under this bridge, they sleep on cardboards, yeah? And they do not have exactly proper blankets, so they just find those blankets they have picked on the streets, and that is what they'll cover themselves with. Now, sometimes these places can be invaded. That's what the author tells us. Now, the story does not only reveal the bridge, but we are told that when Elias and Amos started the aspect of walking from places to place, sometimes they could not have exactly where to sleep. And so they had to run from one place to another. So they do not clearly have shelter. Now, these people also lack security as a result of the police brutality and the possible dangers they experience. Now, we are told that most times there is a time Amos was killed, and Elias was with him. And what happened is that the police had to arrest them because they had to find somebody to pin this aspect on. Now, they would force them to plead guilty because they do not want to go to the processes of finding whoever has killed. Now, yeah, so we are clearly told that Elias, we had Lazarus also, and Amos. So they had to run for their life until their lungs even were paining. because out of desperation, they knew that if they are held, they'll be beaten. And indeed, when we come to the situation where they are arrested, we are told that they had to leave. When they left, that is after some arrest, they left with a broken, the broken, what? The broken ribs. And we are also told clearly that they were beaten until they felt quite painful as they were leaving that place, the jail. And after that, they decided to relocate because they were afraid that the police would still hunt them, and even the person who had killed Amos would easily kill them. Now, we also realized that these people suffer from poor health. Now, this poor health is brought about by the lack of proper food and even medical care. We are told clearly that Elias had this cough that was racking, and he could pull his mucus through the back of his mouth and then just throw it, because he does not have anyone to take care of his health. We are also told that Omagano was a bit thin, and like her body had stripped fat. And if she sleeps around with these guards, what do you expect? She might even acquire any disease. Now, there's poor hygiene and poor grooming for these people. That's why they wear tattered clothes, and sometimes they just try to avoid the bad smell that is not liked by many. Now, when you look at this story again, you realize that the challenge that the people in the streets also face is that most times they lack a family to hold onto. So when you look at Silas, we have Amos, we have Elias, we have Omagano. They do not have a family that they can hold to. And what they can recall is the past that was dark and the situation that forced them to live such a bad life. Now, you will see that they do not have anybody to relate to. And even when they go to the streets, especially on Sunday, we are told that they could go to Windhoek, then Eros, and they could end up at Miss Buzen Den Hot. And when they go to her home, and she gives them some essentials, they really do not see that aspect of bonding with her, because they feel she's taking too much from them. That is the piece of land. As far as they have a place to scavenge, then they could feel better than if they were given some food or some provisions, then lack more. Now, what more do we learn from this story? We learn the aspect of survival. We understand that as a result of the challenges that the street people face, they learn to survive. And how do they learn to survive? We have several situations in which these people learn to survive. One, they create friendship with the people in town, especially Elias. We are told that he had to create friendship with the kitchen workers in town, and so they could offer whatever they couldn't use so that they could eat. The other survival tactics is stealing. We are told that Silas could steal all the time, and he had to name it discovery. So he could say that he has discovered something, maybe a phone. They could even steal wheelbarrows, push them aside, and then sell them later. Because how else could they survive? And these things they could sell, and then they use them. The other survival tactic is scavenging. They could scavenge from one street to another on different days. They choose when the police cannot be there, and through that, they find something to eat. The other tactic that we learn is that they realize that they have to fence some specific areas, and that is why, for example, the neighborhood watch had to fence under the bridge and even label it, and even have some things under it so that nobody else comes for it. Now, the other survival tactic, Omagano sleeps with the guards, so that these guards will allow them to pick whatever food they have at a particular spot. Then they do specialization. Now, you realize that Omagano, then we had Lazarus and Elias. They were in charge of food. They are the ones to scavenge and look for food. On the other hand, we find that Silas and what is his name? The new boy in the group had to come in, and their work, that is Martin, their work was to look for essentials. So they could pick strings, maybe they go to the building site and pick some stuff, which they could later sell and then make some money to survive around. And even they could look at some people who could sit at the roads and say they had a better life than them. Yeah. So we realize that survival tactics is necessary when life pushes you to the end. Yeah, and generally you can look at an aspect of poverty in this story as a dehumanizing thing. How does it affect these people? Are they liked? Like how are they treated? Even dogs are sometimes, sometimes people in the neighborhood would send dogs to attack them. We had the police who could easily arrest them and maybe fix them in a situation they are not really had a hand in. We even see that they could easily be killed, especially when they drink. And Amos, we are told he was so abusive. And so because he could not hold his tongue, he's easily killed. Then they are also exposed to situations where they have to check litter, find blood on women things, and sometimes they find even the dead children and all that. So thank you for listening to this episodic analysis of the Neighborhood Watch. And I would like you to ask for more, just like I'm hearing few people asking this and that, and expose my channel to as many people as possible so that we build each other in literature. Bye-bye for now. Thank you.